inaugural season. And now I'll turn it over to Coach Chun for her opening statement, and then we'll go into questions after that.
Thanks for coming. Really just a historic moment right now, and our program and our team is very excited to be able to represent the Hawkeyes in the black and gold. It's a moment that thousands and millions of girls across the world waited for a moment like this, an opportunity to be able to go to the University of Iowa, becoming a Hawkeye, get a great education, and being able to represent on the wrestling mat as a female athlete. So we're very excited. It's been a year and a half or so since I first started, and it's been a journey trying to get this going. And I work with an awesome staff, great people that helped me along the way. So couldn't be more grateful for the team that we have built together. And we're so excited to be able to have our first duel in Carver Hawkeye Arena. No better place to host a wrestling event, let alone a women's wrestling event. And I'll also say we're so grateful for the opportunities that we've stepped into. We know that the Gashki wrestling training facility is being built, and wow, we feel fortunate and lucky that we get to be in a room where greats have come through the Dan Gable Wrestling Complex, legends of the sport in wrestling, and that our women get to step into a brand new facility next year is truly something special. And we just really want to share the fact that we're so grateful for every opportunity we get being here at the University of Iowa. So,
Ross Bartachek with IA Wrestle. When you think about, when you first joined the program, started recruiting your first athletes, to now looking at where you have a schedule, you have a pretty full roster. I mean, can you just talk about that experience of how that's been, just building the foundations of the program?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a journey. There's moments where felt like things needed to go quickly, but realized, I need to slow it down at times to make sure we're doing the right things to move the program in the right direction. We as a program feel like we're shouldering a lot of responsibility as far as how we do about making sure we're understanding all the rules and compliances for a D1 program. And, we understand there's going to be I've asked a lot of questions. Poor Matt and compliance Dave, it's questions like daily as far as making sure we're doing the right things and building the program in the right way. And like I said earlier, we have a great team of people behind the scenes that make sure that we're here to set our team up for success. So with building the program, it was, how much do we start with? How many student athletes do we start with? We have 10 weight classes. How much is too much? How much is not enough type of thing? And that was one of the, I would say things to work through as far as what that number is, as we know that we're building the program over the course of 4 or 5 years, and what does that look like and beyond. So obviously, Kylie Welker, our first recruit, super excited to have brought her in to become a Hawkeye. She's a junior world or U20 world champion, U23 world bronze medalist, and she was a runner-up at Olympic trials. We have such great women that have followed her since then, as far as being able to, wanting to become a Hawkeye as well. I think the women here that are here know and understand that no one person is bigger than the next, and the fact that they want to push each other to be better, so that way they can reach their goals of becoming a college national champion, but also beyond to world and Olympic stages. So.
John Steffi, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Was it difficult to narrow down who to recruit when so many people were interested in coming to Iowa?
Yes. It's hard, and I think those are like the pieces that we as the coaching staff are still continuing to learn and grow in that space as far as recruiting, because there are so many great women across the country. They're very ambitious, whether in the classroom and on the wrestling mat. And this is why more Division I programs should start, a women's wrestling program at their institution, because there's a lot out there, and the sport continues to grow at a fast rate. I just read an article yesterday about the NCAA, working towards that championship status, and it could be a possibility by the 2025-26 season, and with meeting minimum requirements of how many institutions and schools and whatnot.
Owen Sebring with KGAN. How are you managing expectations with the team? Because I think a lot of people are expecting, well, Iowa has a women's wrestling team now. They're automatically going to be the best one in the country. How are you handling out with the girls?
Yeah, expectations, wearing that Tiger Hawk on your chest, fighting for Iowa, expectations are high. And I think they put that, we put that all on ourselves in the sense of we want to do our best. At the end of the day, we work every day to be our best, right? No matter the outcome, because the reality is every opposing team is going to want to take down a Hawkeye, right? It's no different than the men's wrestling program. You're either for Iowa or not, right? So our women are up for that challenge in the sense of every day we work, and they continue to impress me day in and day out in the sense of how they do business on the mat and off the mat in the classroom. So that's really, throughout the whole year and a half, it is about what does your best look like today? How can we bring out your best so that way when we are out there, we just take care of what's in front of us.
Aaron Swenson, Radio Iowa. Obviously, you've talked about building your own program here, but representing this university and this wrestling program, do you see this program as kind of a catalyst to help grow women's wrestling at the collegiate level?
Absolutely. I feel like it's partly my why, is to help grow the sport, women's wrestling, and it's every reason why we as a coaching staff, we as a program, we as an institution, university, why we need to do it right. Some people might try to look for like, where did they trip up? What is the example of how are they doing it? Is it possible? Or what does it look like to start a women's wrestling program at D1 level? So like I said earlier, I take on that responsibility. I take on that challenge. We as a program take on that challenge, and we know that we want to represent women's wrestling in the right way.
UM College, Dwight Register, good to see you again, Coach. Just coming into this program, usually at the college level or any sport, usually a coach comes in, maybe you have someone that's been around for 3-4 years, has been around the program, that show a kid around campus that can do these types of things. How has it been seeing leaders kind of emerge when you have a group of players all come in and then someone has to rise up and be that type of leader? You mentioned Kylie as being maybe one of those, but just what's it been like seeing that, and who have been some of those faces?
It's a great point that you bring up. I believe that first year, the first 15, we all didn't have anyone really that has walked the hallways or lived in Peterson dorms or whatnot, and so really we all had to just figure it out along the way type of thing. And so there were moments where some stepped up as leaders last year, but I feel like this year you can see it more because now that they've been here for a year and we have freshmen and transfers that have come in, and you can really see others emerge as leaders in their own way. We still continue to challenge all of them that they all have the opportunity to lead. If everyone on our program can live to the standards of what our program is about, then everyone is the leader, right? And it doesn't have to be just one person or two people. So that was interesting to see who was going to emerge or who is going to step up at different times to become that leader.
This season, on social media, talking with you, the mantra for this year is for her. Can you talk about your team's just buy into that, and also for yourself when you're going forward and you're coaching, who is that her for you?
Yeah. Early on in the season last year, or in the school year last year, our whole team got to see here in Carver a beautiful documentary of Dr. Christine Grant. And, it being the 50th year of Title IX, it really hit, why and how we even got here, and for that, it's the gratitude for her, not necessarily for Dr. Christine Grant. She's a big part of that. But for her, meaning it could be for him too. So, but for her, for all the people that paved that way, that were the trailblazers in our sport, for Title IX, for the opportunities that our women have here today, for administration, everyone at University of Iowa that made this possible for our program to be here at the University of Iowa. For her, meaning the people we work and stand by day in and day out, as a program, as a team. There's going to be days where it's hard, and we're going to lean on our teammates, that's standing with us, that's going to help us push us forward. And it's for her, the next generation behind them, right? The little young girls in the arena, seeing them, in the middle of Carver, being that role model for her. And for them, it's a good reminder, of how to represent and themselves and as a program, when we can lead with gratitude and know that there's a bigger why than themselves.
You guys haven't even had your first meet yet, so I acknowledge I'm putting the cart before the horse a little bit here. But I saw you at the crossover clinic on Sunday. Did that get your wheels turning a little bit at least? That hey, we'd like to be out here there someday too.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. I just thinking wow, that is such a cool event. 55,000, for a women's event is amazing. No one's I've never seen anything like it in person. And we had some Ukrainians in town this past week, and they got to go to the game, and they've never seen it's not anything that is happening, on a regular basis. That would be awesome to have that many people watching women's wrestling, because I don't know, I might be biased, but I think it's one of the best sports in the world. So.
Has it set in that you're now, as you're doing all this work to set up this program, that now you're finally a couple weeks away from actually starting competition?
Yeah, every day. Just thinking about tomorrow we got wrestle-offs, and in less than 2 weeks we go to East Stroudsburg, and Princeton Open. So it's coming fast, and I'm excited. So.
How did you go about the process of setting a schedule, knowing the fact that, knowing the goals you have for this program in its initial season?
Yeah, women's wrestling is still in place where, I don't know if you saw the schedule, there's a lot more opens than there are dual meets. And if there is a dual meet, it's typically a dual tournament style. As women's wrestling, we wrestle freestyle. So because of the rules in itself, the wrestling can tend to go faster than a folk style match, a men's collegiate match, which is why our first home duel is a quad, and a match could last 3 to 6 minutes or 10 seconds to 6 minutes. It just varies because of the way the rules are. A match could end very quickly if one opponent scores 10 points over another. And so it is open and dual tournament heavy, I'll say, which, the good thing is it gives a lot more of our women the opportunity to compete, right? So definitely wanted to have the opportunity to go one out east and one out west, and then everything else is pretty close to home, which is nice. But like, there's over 160 women's wrestling programs at the collegiate level, and like, what teams, do we get out to and duel in our first year? So, yeah, that's the challenge. That is still something we continue to figure out. It being the first, let's see how this works out and assess, like, what went well, what will we change differently. It's always a learning process in everything that we do. So hopefully you guys like the schedule. We got a few here at home, so that's exciting, to just be home and be like have our women in front of our fans here, hopefully, to come out.
What effect do you think training with that Ukrainian team is going to have on the Iowa Hawkeyes?
Training with, so the Ukrainian are leaving today. They were here for 10 days. It was a great opportunity for our young women. We shared the room with world champions and world medalists in that room. Some of our student athletes got it to them, which is not all bad. They got a good feel of what it feels like to be at that level. And then we learned a lot together. It wasn't all just scrapping and live and just matches. It was sharing technique, like sharing stories of what life is like in Ukraine and in this moment. And I feel like, having the Ukrainians come in is bigger than the sport of wrestling. Wrestling is what brings us together, but I always talk about, wrestling is the vehicle of where you want to go in life, and kind of helps build you as a person, but it's not everything, right? There's more to life than just wrestling, and it's the relationships you get to build and create with, people all across the country and world. So they coming in bring a broader perspective of life, of why they are traveling abroad to train, in their situation in Ukraine. It's not all the way safe to be training in Ukraine currently. So it was a great opportunity for Ukraine to come in. So.
Ken with the Daily Island. Who has been the most improved on the mat since you've been here?
That's a good question. Oh man, most improved on the mat. That's hard. That is really hard. Hopefully all of them right now. Hopefully they all grew in some way, but most improved. Oh gosh. What sticks out for me, I'll say, is Bellamere, maybe. When she came in, she was number 6 in the country at U20, and she made the U20 world team this year and took 5th at Worlds, and she was severely sick, and she was in the medal contention. So I would say probably her. She very coachable. It's like playing a video game. You tell her what to do, she does it, type of thing, And at the World Championships, it was a question to her of asking her what she thought the difference was from being 6th in the country to 5th in the world, And, it was, she did say, having a team of women behind her. she attributes making that world team because she had a team behind her, you know, like a team that believes in her. And sometimes that's what's so powerful about sport and having a team behind you, is sometimes, you know, the individual might be struggling with like belief in themselves, but if they see that others believe in them, then that can push them forward, right? So for her, it was having that team, and then also alongside that, being able to fully focus on the sport of wrestling. You know, her background was MMA, so she like had a lot of different disciplines to train in. So, but yeah, that's a hard one. I hate singling out one person, but result-wise, I would say her. Yeah.
What has Marlyn Dede added to this room?
Marlyn Dede just brings not only experience but maturity to our room, to our program. She came from Augsburg, and when Augsburg started up, right? So she's now part of, you know, kind of like two programs that are startups. But she was at Augsburg when it first started, from the beginning, and you know, there was different challenges throughout her years there. And with that said, it was a difficult decision for her to want to transfer, you know, because she felt like because she was one of the first at Augsburg, or she was the first at Augsburg, she felt a responsibility to seek it through for her entire like collegiate career. But also, and that it wasn't an easy decision for her to want to transfer, but she also felt that she wanted to give herself a different opportunity to do something special here in the room here. And so that's what she brings, is experience, maturity, and leadership in her way as well. So.
You have a number of extremely talented freshmen on this roster coming in that were highly recruited. How many of them are you expecting this season to be able to just contribute right out of the gate?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Sorry. Trying to think through this one. Yeah, we have extremely talented freshmen. Just like I said, I really want them to just compete their best, you know. As far as, I don't have, like, yes, we want to win everything. You know, we want them to be college national champions. We understand that, you know, every day we're learning and growing, and when they step out, I really, truly just want them to be at their best. Expectations, you know, that's hard. Yes, yeah, for them to win. But I think, yeah, that's a hard question to answer. Sorry. Oh my gosh, stumbled me on that. Yeah.
I guess maybe someone like Lily Luft, for example. What is she maybe? What do you kind of see maybe from her in particular in terms of her?
Yeah. Okay. That's with Lily.
You need to narrow it down.
Yeah. Because I'm just like trying to think of all our freshmen all at once, and that's a lot. So, Lily, tough as nails, gritty. She goes hard. So she won't back down from anything or anyone, which is awesome. Just, you know, we, like everything else, you know, we want to keep nurturing that piece that she has, and still work with other elements of it, for, like, there's still room for growth. That's a great thing. There's always room for growth for each and every one of our student athletes here. Is that's the scary part. You have the heart, you have the drive, you have the grit. Sometimes those are the harder things to like pull out, and some more than others, and really just like helping shape her, you know, as how she's going to present herself on the mat. So, yeah.
Kind of on that note, you talked about wrestle-offs. So, like, you know, you talked about those freshmen coming in and everyone you have. I mean, how big of a deal will wrestle-offs be determining your lineup?
Yeah, and we told all of our women that wrestle-offs does not mean you're going to be the starter. You win wrestle-offs does not mean that you're going to start. It's really information for us as a coaching staff to see the process, right? For them to have to go through the process. Some are coming off of injuries from last year or whatnot, and this is an opportunity to, get their process in place, right? Whether it's their weight descent, because we see them daily in the sense of how are they managing their weight leading up to the wrestle-off? What is their refueling like after weigh-ins? What's their warm-up like? What are the little things that go through their mind as they're preparing to step out on the mat for a wrestle-off, right? It's competition. It's not competition in Carver. It's not competition at East Stroudsburg or Princeton Open, anything like that. It's competition in the wrestling room, in the practice room, and to what level can they rise within that environment, where it's the place where you're training day in and day out, but how do you create that shift of I'm competing for an opportunity to have a spot. Doesn't mean I get the spot, but it's a lot of learning pieces to have a wrestle-off for the individual and for coaches. And that's why we are having a wrestle-off.
So, as far as simulating an actual event, is it going to be scratch weight and everything for wrestle-offs too?
No, we are giving a weight allowance because we are 2 weeks from the first competition. We are having an official come in because we don't want to officiate that, so we are going to have an official come in and officiate the matches. And, so it's going to be treated as such in that way.
One final question.
The donation drive that you and the women's wrestling program and volleyball did together, what was the outcome of that? How did that go?
I think it went well. Oh gosh, I don't know the outcome of that. But, a lot of it was, awareness of what is going on Maui and how we can best help, the community of Lahaina. And it was awesome that volleyball connected with women's wrestling to do the drive, whether it's the food drive or the toys and clothing drive. And it meant a lot to us, because we have one of our own, Nanea, that, went to Lahaina Luna High School, and really for a big connection for the wrestling community in Lahaina. And it's hard, one of the young wrestlers that is in high school currently just had an opportunity to go back to her apartment just this week, yesterday or the day before, and that's hard, I can't even imagine what her and her family and the whole community of Lahaina is going through. And so if having a drive can help feed the people on Lahaina or clothe or have young kids be able to play in sport again, then I don't know. I would love it to be ongoing. So.
Thank you, everyone. You can head down to the wrestling room now, and the student athletes will be available.
Thank you.
Coach. Thanks, Coach.
There you go.